Good morning, everybody. So let's get started with 30 minutes of some arm stuff. And yes, anytime that I'm going to be working you out, we're going to be focusing on your core too. And Kaio's here to watch as well. But we are going to do arms and core today. So let's go ahead and start with a little warm up. Yes, Kaio, I know, it's fun to look at. And we're going to start with some marching and some bands. So let's take a band, something of medium resistance, and I want you to start marching in place. And so now as we're doing this one, I want you to be just focusing on bringing the arms up, straightening the elbows, and then coming back down, pulling the energy when you're coming down into your armpits and your lats and your abs. We want to really feel that we're pulling that band back into the position once we lengthen the elbows to their fullest point. As you're marching, we want our toes to come up in front as we drive length into the down leg. We do not want to be butt kicking or bringing our leg up so high that we end up leaning backwards. We really need to feel our posture waking up here. We've got another 10 seconds. You don't have to get your hands over your head, but you do need to find your elbows to a straight position. Everybody's range of motion may be different, so I just want to make sure you're not trying to go up past the range where you're keeping your ribs and shoulders anchored down. All right, so let's go ahead and put the band down. And we're just going to do our warm-ups through our first set. So today, when we do our arms, we want to focus on pushing, pulling, pressing. We want to make sure we're using the shoulder and all the different capabilities that we want to. And we're not just choosing, maybe it's push-ups for you, maybe it's biceps for somebody else, making sure that we're not choosing the thing that we like to do and doing that too much, because we need to keep variation. So first thing we're going to do is a push-up. And we want to start these push-ups today on your hands and knees. Kyle loves it when I do push-ups. And what I want you to focus on your setup is that your toes are always tucked under. Unless they're causing you a significant amount of pain to be in this position, and even if they do, we'll work into that over time. I don't want your feet resting. I want your toes in a little bit of a stretch on even your push-up. And so now we want our hands underneath our armpits, our knees underneath our hips, and all we want to do is let our butt stick up in the air as we go down. And so we're just going through a normal speed. I want your elbows to go out at a 45-degree angle. I don't want them all the way out like a military push-up. I'm going to show you from this angle. My elbows are going out at a 45-degree angle. My head is trying to stay away from the floor. A good way of thinking about it is that we want our chin and chest to try and stay away from the floor as our arms just bend and straighten. Feel that you're trying to avoid going down to the floor with your face, but the elbows bend, and then push everything away from that. And that's what I want you to focus on for about 5 more. Just working down through that range where your butt does not travel forward or backwards. It just tips up to the sky, and your forehead goes down towards the ground while it tries to stay away from the touch. And that's a great way, go ahead and rest. That's a great way to keep focused on this area instead of when people start doing push-ups, a lot of times they focus or the energy goes to this area. So we want to keep that out of there. All right, so what we're going to do next is a pull action. And so for this one, I have a band hooked up over to the side. It could be anything at hip height, knee height, shoulder height, anything through that range of space. But if you can pull on something, that would be great. If you don't have something handy like this to pull on, then what your modification is going to be is just like we would have done in a warm-up. You're going to be thinking about pulling your elbows back while focusing on your abs and lats. So yes, we want you to extend all the way out, but the focus on this exercise is to pull the elbows and feel the energy go back into your lats and abs. So even though you're pushing your arms forward, you're going to accentuate the pull. And so as I'm out here, my arms are going to stay straight while I'm tall. No, I lied. My arms are gonna bend in. So we're gonna start with our hips forward, our elbows back, our body nice and tight. And then we're gonna let our arms go forward as our butt goes back. We don't want our shoulders to get pulled up. Keep your lats and abs engaged. And then as you come up, you're gonna pull your elbows back to your sides. So your arms lengthen while you keep your ribs and shoulder blades down, and then you pull the elbows back. Through this action, I want your focus to be on keeping your core connected, your abs tight, your shoulders down, your head in a neutral position, and your shoulders away from your ears. Those things, if you focus on keeping all that tight, it'll let you feel how your hips are hinging right underneath your butt bone and your butt's crack is spreading. As you pull in, you're not pulling your shoulders up to your ears, but you're feeling that connection of your abs and your lats, which is near your armpits, to connect and keep you solid. And so, go ahead and rest. That's our first warm-up of our pull action. And so for our last warm-up round of our presses, we're gonna do the banded reach, but we're gonna do it with a heavy band. So the one that we did in the beginning, just as a little warm-up, I want you to try to find something a little heavier. Maybe it's your black, maybe it's your blue, if you've got the bands that I use. And if you have something different, don't worry so much that if you only have one band and that's what you got to use, that's fine. But I want you to give the intention that that whatever band you have, if it's not heavy enough, that whatever band strength you have, you're imagining that it's as heavy as it could possibly be. Okay, so when we put our mind into it, it actually makes things a little bit more real. Oops, sorry, Kyle, didn't mean to step on your foot. So what I want you to do is band on wrists. Make sure you're never putting the band on your hands because that puts a lot of tension into the wrist. So we want it down here as opposed to where tension can be pulling on your hands. And so now let's just stand tall, and I want you to work on a little stretch on the band. But more important is going to elbow straightening while the ribs engage down and maintain that proper position. If you find yourself leaning back or you just are like, what's so hard about this one? If you feel like it's too easy, then you're not focusing on the abs and the lats. Think about those shoulders. Staying down towards the floor, ribs anchored to the floor as those arms reach up to the sky. And you'll feel how that feels different than if you were just say, oh, everything goes up. When everything goes up, we come apart in our core. But when we feel that downward action of our ribs and our shoulder, as we find that lengthening action, we feel a lot more engagement through here. All right, so let's go ahead. Grab a little drink of water. Our first round of warm-up is good. And now we're going to go through our second round. And everything's going to be a little bit slower, but similar. So for the next set of push-ups, I want you to do it up a little higher than your normal place. And for me, today, I'm just going to turn my camera so you can see this angle, and I'm going to do my push-ups for this set down here. And so if you have a table, a counter, anything that kind of suits that purpose that's around your belly button height. There we go. Oh, look, you got Ralph in the background on this one. We got all the dogs in today. So what I want you to focus on during this set of push-ups is the length coming through, and I'm going to show you from the side, the length and the width coming from the middle of your groin, not necessarily the front of your hips. Think more about the middle of your groin, driving length to straighten your knees through as your shoulders push you down and back towards your feet. So we want to feel that this area is pushing, and you can't see my chin that much, but my chin is pushing away from the ground, never lifting to lift to push, but tucking to push. And so now we want to give me a little tricep push up and then push and come up. I'm going to turn my angle just a little bit. Keep going. Good. So we're going to do 2 more in our slow range, trying to keep your face and your chest away from whatever you're going towards. and then push away. Bending the elbows, but keeping everything pushed away, but keep that length in the groin, and then push. And so now we're gonna go down slow. So I want you to count with me. We're gonna go down slow with a 4, 3, keep that face away from the floor, 2, 1, press everything away. Drop down, 4, 3, 2, 1, and push. Drop, 4, 3, keep those shoulders away from your ears and that length coming through your groin, and push. Down, 4, 3, keep your chin away, keep your chest away, let those elbows be loose, and push. Give me 2 more, 4, 3, lengthen through the knees, lengthen through the legs, feel that energy through your abs, and push. 1 more, 4, 3, dropping those elbows low and wide, keeping the abs your focus, keeping your chin away, and push. And go ahead and rest. Nice job, guys. So, I'll turn us back. You get Kaio's lovely nap time. He's making us look like we're working so hard, isn't he? All right. So our next one is going to be our single arm pull. So for this one, we're going to go back to that band that we were pulling on before, if you have that. If you don't have a band to pull on, what I would like you to do is I'd like you to give me a set while we're pulling on the single arm. What I want you to do is push those elbows out wide and then come up and relax. Push the elbows down and wide and then come up and relax. So that's the modifier if you don't have the band to pull on. For those of you who have the band to pull on, you want to make sure that you're square facing whatever you're pulling on. You don't want to be turned open to it. You want to be right belly centered right up to it. Now grab the band so you have one in each hand and make sure they're wide enough apart that you're not pulling them into your stomach. You need to pull them out wide. All right, so with this one, we're going, oh sorry, we're doing single arm, my bad. Both bands in one arm. So what I want you to do with that band in one arm while we're still standing tall, I want you to let your elbow go all the way out straight. Now, this is your check. You need to be square with your hips and square with your shoulder. And make sure that the band is not turning you towards your attachment. You have to keep that square position. And so all I want you to do is keep your arm nice and long while you maintain that square position. And you gotta watch, go ahead and start if you haven't already. If you've been doing those squats with the elbow push-outs in the band, rest for a little bit and then do another set. And so if you're doing this one, feel how that right shoulder blade or whatever shoulder blade is holding on to the band, that should be locked down towards the floor and away from your ear. It should be pulled back away from the band, but the arm should be long and loose with no tension pulling into the arm. The arm is imagining lengthening as the shoulder blade keeps it in control of twisting forward. All right, so let's switch hands. And we're going to do the same thing. Check yourself, make sure you're not twisted and you're square to what you're looking at. And same thing, hips go wide, keep your elbows straight, keep your ribs and shoulders square. Make sure your hips and your shoulders are always pointing the same way. And you don't need to keep looking down. What you need to do is just feel at the top, feel at the bottom. Be aware of what you feel like, and then every once in a while, check to see that what you feel is correct. You don't want to be so worried about checking everything that you never really experience the feel, okay? So really focus on feeling that activation of your abs and that activation of your lats connecting in. All right, so next thing we're going to do is our kneeling press. And so for this one, you could use a weight. If you don't have a weight, you could use your arm. But if you have a weight, let's use it, okay? And just so you know what the action is, because that kind of determines what you're going to grab. Excuse me, Kaio. Okay. So what we want is whatever weight we choose, if it is a kettlebell, it's really important, guys, that your wrist position is strong through the whole set. You have a choice when you're doing this. You can lift it in the regular bottom down position like this with that nice straight wrist, avoiding anything like this or this. Or you could try the more difficult option of hand position here. But if you're trying to death grip it with your wrist, or if your wrist doesn't look like this and it looks like this, then I would much prefer you go to this. There's no point in going higher if you can't control it, okay? All right, so let's go ahead and you're gonna get down on one knee, and whatever knee you've got down on the ground, we also want that toe tucked under in the back. We never let our toe flatten. And so while we're down on that knee, we wanna first make sure our hip is nice and tall. We don't have any pinch going through that groin. We're kind of lengthening that groin all the way through. And that knee in front can be anywhere you feel comfortable, as long as it's not pinching in across your midline. We got to keep it a little bit out, but make sure nothing leaves the ground from your foot. All right, so whatever knee is down, that's the arm that we're going to be pressing up with. So every time you press your knuckles towards the ceiling, I want you to drive length down into the middle edge of your kneecap. So as you drive down, push through your kneecap and then coil back into your lat as you come down. Press through the knee to send that arm up, and then pull down into your retractable cord in your armpit. Press on an exhale and coil it back down into your armpit. Check your wrist, make sure it's straight, and let's give me 5 more. Focusing on no body tipping, no pinching, and getting that elbow straight each time before you suck it back into your armpit. The palm is going to face forward at the top, and then it's going to pull and turn inward towards that armpit and towards the other hand if it were here. And then one more, press up as you drive down into that knee, keeping the shoulder from rising up as you press. And then let's go ahead and set the weight down as you stick your butt out a little bit. Switch legs, take your time here. If being on your knee is uncomfortable, then sometimes I suggest to people try using a block, even if it's a smaller block, because you can kind of get your kneecap just barely off the edge a little bit and be a little bit more on, I'll show you this part, that top front part of your tibia. That can withstand the pressure of your leg a lot better than if you're on the floor where your kneecap is where you hold most of your pressure. So if you're somebody who is really against getting down onto the ground, it's perfectly fine for you to make an adjustment to make you feel like you're getting what you should get out of something, as opposed to it hurting so bad or causing you so much discomfort that you can't really feel what you want to feel with the exercise. Uh-oh, we got Burley coming, guys. All right, so for this one, what I want is to make sure as you set up that this doesn't happen, ladies and gentlemen, sorry, that you do not want the hip to slide out over here. We need to make sure that our pubic bone, belly button, chin, that line should be a little bit more centered. We don't want it here where it can pinch across. We want to, again, find that groin length right through there. All right, so let's grab your weight. Make sure whatever knee is down is the opposite from before. And here's Burley and Kaya. And now press up to that straight elbow and then suck the energy back down into your groin. Drive through the knee as you then suck the energy back down into your groin. Feel your chin slightly drop as you lengthen through the back of your neck, keeping your shoulder away from your ears. I bet 2 huge dogs with you today, huh? Good. Nothing like a little bit of perpetation to make sure that my core is engaged, to have a dog coming in. So imagine that you have a dog around you and try to make sure that that core is so locked in that even if they did touch you, you wouldn't buckle and break, because you're not fragile and you can hold your ground. Let's give me one more. Drive through that knee to press that elbow straight. Suck it back down into the groin. And let's go ahead and set your weights down off to the side. Burley knows where he's the star of the show and where to stand. Sooner or later he'll move. I find that if I try to push him out of the way, he usually ends up coming back 10 times worse. But, so, what we're going to do next is we're going to do another push-up, but this time we're going to do it a little bit differently. We're going to go with that same position where we're on a raised surface, okay, so that doesn't change, but the speed in which we go in different directions is. So last time we went slow on the way down, and we pushed up quick. So this time, we want to go down quick, and then we're going to go pushing through our slow action to come back up. And when you drop quick, it's really important that there's no drop of the pelvis, there's no dip of the neck. When you drop quick, as I get Kyle's butt in my face, as you drop, go on, as you drop quick, you want to catch yourself feeling like your head is not going to touch the ground. I love dogs, don't you guys? It makes our job so much more fun. So what I want you to do is drop quick. Give me a 3, 2, 1. Push away. Drop quick. Catch yourself with your abs and your lats. Push 3, 2, 1. Away the floor the whole time. As you drop, catch yourself with your abs and then come back up slow. Beautiful. All right. So let's go ahead and we're going to go to our row pull again for this one. And this one's going to be with a kickstand. And so with the kickstand, your row pull, you have two options. You can use the band like we did before, or, or you can use a kettlebell or a dumbbell to row pull with. So if you have a kettlebell and you don't have a band, when we get into the kickstand position, this is what you'll do. If you have the band, you're just going to be pulling from somewhere ahead instead of down on the floor. So let's go ahead, and first, no matter what you have, you want to make sure that whatever hand you have your resistance in, the bell or the band, that's the foot that's going to be tapping, guys, okay? So it's really important that you remember that we're going to tap with the hand that has the weight or resistance. So square up to your position just like you did last time and we practiced in those squats. And so now I want you to go into a squat and put most of your weight into that opposite leg. Imagine that my hand is in front of your chest and your head, and you don't want to let that drop forward. And now pull on the band as you focus on that butt reaching back and the knee drifting loose and wide and not letting your body twist. Keep your square hips and shoulders facing your attachment. Make sure no part of your foot is lifted off the ground except for your arch. And you should be feeling this here, maybe a little bit in your arms, but mostly in your butt. Give me 3, 2, and rest. Stand up tall. Regroup. Burley. Lay down. All right, next side. So go into your squat, same thing. Shift your weight away from the hand that has the weight in it. And now tap that foot of the pulling arm. And keep your ribs engaged by pushing away. Keep your neck engaged by pushing your face away. And make sure this back foot isn't so far back that it's allowing you to put weight into it. We want to pretend that that tapping foot is on the thinnest piece of ice you can imagine, and we don't want to break through it. 3, 2, and rest. Come on up from that. All right, so we've got our last thing, and this one's for our thrusters, so it's our hardest press of the day. So again, pick a weight that works for you. Don't go with anything that feels that your shoulders are peaking up or your ribs are popping out of control. We want to make sure that we feel that even though we're going for a challenge, that it's the hardest thing we do well, and it's not challenging us to the point of failure. All right? So go ahead, and we're going to take about 30 seconds here. Grab your weights, bring them to the spot where we're going to want them, and we'll get started with our thruster set. All right, so with our thruster set, I'm just going to demo the action before. So if you've got the weight in your hands, drop them or rest for a second. And so with the thruster set, your arms and your hands, whenever they're not pressing up, are going to be right here. So the knuckles will be facing each other, but not resting on each other, okay? So they're right here. When we press up, the speed of our hips is going to generate momentum, which will let us straighten our arms. We've been working on that today. So it'll let us straighten the elbows while we remain engaged and packed through here, so we don't end up looking like that at the top of our thruster. All right, so now let's pick up our weights. Put them into our bottoms down position, okay? Let's not have any bottoms up today. All right, so from here, we're going to do 10, 5, and 10. All right, guys, they may be different along the way. Our first set, we're gonna do alternating. So it's gonna go down 2, up 1, down 2, up 1. So let's go ahead and give me 5 on each side, just like that. So that's gonna give us 10. Good, 1. Use the speed of the hips to drive that elbow straight. Pull the shoulder down and the abs down as you go up. Find your hips tall and in front of your ankles with each press up to make sure that you're not falling back into your heels. Keep your wrists straight. One last one. And set the weights down and take a break. Walk away from it. Shake your wrists out. If there's any tension in your hands or wrists, shake it out like it's water. Grab a little water if you need it. All right, so this time we have 5, and I want doubles. All right, grab your weights, 5 in a row. Open your hips going down, explode going up. Open, explode. Good, don't let those weights ever drop below your chin. 2, 1, and set the weights down. Take a little break, walk away. And guys, if you're using kettlebells, it doesn't feel great right here, but it's part of kettlebelling. It's part of the buy-in that we have to get tough. We're not fragile. A little bit of discomfort isn't going to kill us. It just makes us stronger. And the more you allow yourself to be okay with that discomfort, the less it bothers you over time. And the more prepared you are for us to go up in your weights next time, right? So just remember, the only damage and the only real pain that can cause is if your wrist is in a bad position. So suck it up and take the tension on that wrist to make sure we don't cause something worse. All right, we got 10 again, alternating arms. Ready? Drop, explode. Drop, explode. Keep your abs tight. And do not let those bells drop below your chin at any point. Use your exhales to go up. Make a little sound each time, but straighten that elbow. Keep that shoulder down. Keep your ribs anchored. One more. And set the weights back down on the ground. Awesome job today, guys. So let's take a second to do a real quick upper body stretch. And so for this one, what I want you to do, and we'll see how this goes with dogs, but what I want is you to be on your elbows, out wide. Hey, Brody. Can I slide you? There we go. In your elbows, out wide, with your arms forward, so we're here. And so now what I want you to do is let your head rest down. I want your butt stuck up with a little arch in your back, meaning I want no child's poses here. I want your butt up towards the ceiling, and I want a pretty neutral spine. I don't want you rounded over. And so from here, put your hand on your head, And I want you to look over to the side as far as you can, and then press up out of the hand on the ground so that you're trying to push your face away from the floor and look up to something, and then come back down and rest. Switch arms, so now that one behind your head is now in front of you on the floor. Make sure you've got good contact with the ground. And now turn to the side, look up in front of you and push through your hand without lifting your elbow. Push that elbow into the ground as you look up and turn, and then release and come back down to the ground. It's a nice upper body stretch to get our thoracic region moving a little bit more. We just did a lot of upper body stuff, a lot of core stuff, so I wanted to give you something to kind of open up your chest and get you a little bit more space and air and room to breathe. So from Burley, Kaio, and I, thank you for joining us. Oh, and Ralph too. Thank you for joining us this morning. And just to give everybody a heads up that I'm going to be adding another outlet to find my training. So Friday sessions may be moving off of Instagram soon, but don't worry, they'll be coming back in Burnalong. Burnalong's app for fitness instructors, and I think that it'll be a great way for people to see how I train online without necessarily the ability to see you, but a way to get my training. And so you will still have access to all my recordings on Instagram, but I won't be recording many more from Instagram. They'll be transitioning over to Burnalong soon. So stay with me. Have a great day. Enjoy your weekend, and I'll see you soon. All right. Bye-bye.